Hello, everybody. Today we are reading more of Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz and translated by Group Ibex. Today we are going to be starting with Chapter 8. So, here we go. Hello, everybody. Just wanted to give you a little warning before we jump in that the chapters today contain some content that could be disturbing. So, please take care if you are in a sensitive spot. Otherwise, let's go ahead and jump back into Sacred and Terrible Air. 8. Linoleum Salesman. The linoleum salesman goes from town to town. He went to Norrköping by the big frozen river to sell linoleum, small wooden churches and narrow streets. The linoleum salesman admired the wooden architecture, the frozen silence of the north. By 9 o'clock in the evening, the streets were empty, and a gust of wind breathed within the city. Coats flapped in the wind, and snow, thick snow, settled on the roofs of the houses. It snowed in the heart of the linoleum salesman. Orange rows of streetlights, the kind of images that flashed in his head that night. In the rented room, under the blanket, the stories, the patience. In the garden of his business partner's house next door, the linoleum salesman admired two brothers, faces like cherubs, mouths plump and cheeks red from the frost. In Arda, at the summits of the mountains, where the fjords cut through, red soil-colored houses sit at the foot of a snowy giant. At night, when their window panes twinkled in the dark like tiny eyes, and the black teeth of the mountains grinned at the sky, still that smile was nothing compared to the smile of the linoleum salesman. He practiced, made himself have a double chin like a caterpillar, raised his upper lip. In the mirror of the hotel room, the man turned pale. How about walking in like this, to the basement with its low ceiling and concrete walls? What would it be like to see such a thing? Look now, beauty. Now you look at me. Then, when the linoleum factory was closed down, times became hard. But the linoleum salesman got back on his feet. He made new contacts, got to know importers. A new linoleum factory was opened. And wherever he was, whatever he looked at, he always wanted to see more. He sold linoleum, but he thought of himself as a photographer. The world had collected for him hidden landscapes, incinerators of beauty, which no other person could see. Like a child with a kaleidoscope, he broke the shapes apart. To a Grad Oblast above winter's orbit, the linoleum salesman went to sell linoleum. The magnet train stormed across the northern plateau. Outside the windows, where it was dark and the northern lights shone above the clearing, the restaurant's carriage's crapper, a black mountain tunnel swallowing the train. When the linoleum salesman came out, his hands were full of broken, glittery glass. Where did the delightful flower mandala go? He invites in hiding. He attracts attention, but then he disappoints. The faceless structure, the ledger. The linoleum salesman lost his temper. His greedy nervous system roared. Yalinka. In that polar settlement, the man rubbed snow on his face, but the snow only melted from the heat of his nerves. He is resting now, trying to take care of himself. He works, selling linoleum to hardware stores, interior design offices, and distributors. Brown linoleum, linoleum with flowers. He comes down from the north to Vasa. While selling linoleum in Keksum, Lovisa's elite suburban quarter, he sees something new, something he thought he would never see. He sees other linoleum salesmen, except that they are not linoleum salesmen. On a mattress in the park for gays, he talks to a ticket controller about Vasa, about the feeling of security, about schools, about laissez-faire education. The alder bush is rustling, and the others, they too have new thoughts, knowledge. They tell each other their stories. Garden equipment renter, podiatrist. Briefing. Therese looks at the silver watch that his colleagues from the Missing Persons Unit gave him for his 10th anniversary. 5 minutes. He, Con, and Jesper walk through the park of the old people's home, coats flapping. Okay, briefing. Can we go a bit slower? Con lags behind the rest. I'm out of breath. Jesper scurries. Listen, you have a serious problem with your heart. I think we all agree you should see a doctor. I agree. Therese agrees. In the twilight, the white window frames of the houses glow behind picket fences. Leaf litter springs under Jesper's suede shoes. He looks at the splatter of mud on the toe of his shoe and gives up. There is a sweet smell of decay. He is nervous about waiting. Your local authority could be more accommodating, continues Agent Matajek. Their collaboration initiative and international disposition left much to be desired. Con tries to keep up. Did you get the interrogation? I got it. Yesterday? No, this morning. They were stalling. Nothing to be done about it. I was on the phone all day yesterday. I don't know, doing acrobatics, 100 calls, I'm sorry. Therese is a brilliant liar. Jesper doesn't hesitate for a moment. Whatever. Listen, what did Heard say? I didn't even see them. Jesper notices Con's sigh of relief, and his eyebrows furrow in suspicion. He's quite disappointed, to be honest. All that preparation in vain. The funeral party could go ahead and get started. Wait, that's not all. Therese raises a black leather-gloved finger and smiles. Heard was so kind as to give me a name. Dirk Trentmuller. That's where he heard it from. Con suddenly stops and glares at Therese. He just gave you that name and told you everything honestly? He spoke? Jesper doesn't understand why Con doubts his friend's interrogation abilities. Well, you beat him up, didn't you? Garage style? He looks approvingly at Therese and walks on. So, Dirk who? Trentmuller? Exactly. I followed up on it. Everything checks out. They shared a cell 18 years ago, the last of Dirk's sentence. He was paroled. There's one more catch with this. Remind me to come back to it later. Anyway, together they one-upped each other with their stories, and then one day, Heard laid down a particularly juicy one. Dirk must have felt indebted, so he's trying to do one better. Says he knows a guy. Wait for it. From the Kexum ring. Come on. Bullshit. Con isn't impressed. Therese doesn't let it bother him. This guy is from that ring. Let's assume for a moment that there is a ring, all right, and he's like a leader. A seriously bad person, and dangerous. A few years after the girl's disappearance, the leader comes to Dirk and talks about how he and his friends kidnapped the girls. They're lovers, by the way, the leader and Dirk. Nice. And Dirk can't tell anyone, otherwise they'll kill him, so Dirk continues to talk to Heard. And you can't imagine what kinds of things. Con and Jesper pace along in silence. Neither asks. Jesper only shakes his head a little. Anyway, it's things that are exciting in the format of Heard and Dirk's conversation. I also researched this Dirk a bit. As far as I could find at the Kronstadt papers, a pederast, fiddled his sister's children, family mainly, nothing serious. The woman finally gave him up. Locked up, Dirk is a darling. He tells the soul shepherd how he still regrets it, and how there's something in him, this something that pushes him. Therese shakes his hands skeptically while saying this, and then continues on the fly, and all the other diabolical stuff that goes along with it. The back of the retirement home is hunched under the trees. The edges of the wooden patio are bleached pale. Stone steps lead to the back door. Red walls authentic to the building's age. Fragile wooden architecture. Just the kind of house from Vasa's past that would remind its residents of their youth. Chestnut trees shed their last leaves on the roof of Skimning. Now, of course, Derek is 70 years old. Or 75, do the math yourself. And do you know why he was released early? Con and Jesper do not know why the homosexual lover of the leader of the Kexum pedophile ring, convicted child molester Derek Trentmuller, was released from prison early. He became senile. What, at 60? Jesper understands the complications that can arise from this. Approximately, yes. Completely senile. Don't know. Didn't say how senile he became. Anyway, the situation worsened. Fast. We'll see. Con follows the others up the stairs of the retirement home. The three of them stop in front of the archwooden door. Therese rings the bell. The drawing. Con pants, hands on his knees. Where did Heard get the drawing of Annie? It's their relic there. It passes from hand to hand. If we find the man it came from, we'll have our funeral party. I promise you that. We could finally start living. Therese rings again, this time more angrily. Only Heard overshot in the end, the leader of Kexum. At Con's look, Therese corrects himself. The leader of the supposed Kexum group made it for Derek, and Derek showed it to Heard. It seems to me that Heard was just a little curious to, see what would happen. Therese smiles wickedly. Vasa dozes in the blissful peace of the 50s. Winter ends. Icicles dripping from the eaves melt holes in the ice on the sidewalk. The days are getting longer, and somewhere far away, in the courtyard of a school in the city center, Sven von Fersen gets to work on an overweight immigrant. So what did he think? That Madeline enjoyed hearing such a gross story. Huh? Did she? Therese stands far away at the courtyard door and doesn't dare to step in. He hopes that Jesper will feel too pained to look on. Reflection. The linoleum salesman moves along the sidewalks of the suburb. His boots have gathered fringes of salt from the melting snow. The linoleum salesman hasn't slept all night, and the bright light, the sun reflected on the ice, makes his eyes hurt. His hands shake from coffee. His head screams, nerves bluish red, a throbbing relay. Thousands of pictures of nighttime conversations swell within the linoleum salesman. He puts his hand in his pocket. The bottom of the pocket has had a hole cut out of it with scissors. He makes his round in the horse car, getting off at the Falu stop every time and slipping through below the bridge. He looks at the willow bush, and then gets on the tram again from the other side of the road. The linoleum salesman's head rests against the window. Sometimes he falls asleep, and even then his imagination keeps running, the form taking increasingly strange poses, stretching its legs in front of the linoleum salesman. Even in his sleep, he would want. But the linoleum salesman trains his nerves. Outside the tram window, the clock strikes 2, and the school day ends. The linoleum salesman's teeth chatter. He is awake. Children file through the tram cabin. In the garage at home, sample rolls of linoleum are lined up. He lives here now, in Vasa, in Kexum. He walks the streets of the suburb of Lovisa. The linoleum salesman hangs from the handrail. He would like to squirm. One lady looks at him strangely. It's the same lady. She was also in the previous tram, and yesterday's. You can't anymore, you have to choose. Falu comes, and the linoleum salesman exits. He crosses under the bridge and looks at the willow bush of his longings. He will suffer no more. Small lumps of ice drip from the willow branches, and the linoleum salesman's breath warms them. Drip, drip. The sun shimmers on a drop of water, and on the other side of the willow bush, visions pass by, 4 in a row. The smallest chatters endlessly. Chit, chat, chit. This is the most beautiful moment in the life of the linoleum salesman. He wants them. After that, it's over. He kills himself and rids the world of the linoleum salesman. But before that, them. The smell of heart medications is nauseating. Jesper wipes his neck, nervously adjusts the tie in his sweater collar. It's like all those joint ointments somehow got on his skin. Who knows why anyone would cling to life so tightly? White lace curtains are tied back on both sides of the window. Something is crawling on the walls of Derek Trentmuller's ward, which has been tricked into looking like a room. Tree branches cast shadows on the floral pattern of the wallpaper. Sometimes, rarely, when a motor carriage rustles by, the shadows come to life in the headlights and slide along in the gloom. In the yellow light of the table lamp, layers of flowers and tree branches slide over each other. Death, the word that appears so rarely in the conversations between the boys that it seems as if it does not exist. Everyone just evaporates. They leave. Then, when the time comes, Jesper steps out into the December air. The light of the house cube remains behind him, and the ski trails lead him to the outer border of the settlement. The forage fields stretch out there under the snow, and Jesper crosses them to where the wall of trees darken. Zig, zag, drum. Spruce branches sweeping his white coat. The dark forest, the dark green of eyes. In the cold air, the girls' voices sound out like sleigh bells. They are waiting, under the permafrost, in a habitat untouched for millions of years, deep in the lungs of Grod, where no man may go. Jesper doesn't tell anyone about it. The shelves in Derek's room, or rather the ward, are full to the brim with junk. Family photos in frames sit on a small bookshelf behind reflective glass. Jesper does not dare to look at these photos. Children? Nieces? Do these nurses ever clean here? Above the bed stands a silver icon of Dolores Day, and below it sits Derek Trentmuller, arms folded, a checkered blanket around his shoulders. A tiny silver cross glitters around his neck. An ivy pole rises above the headboard. You know, boys, my memory. Tomorrow I wouldn't recognize you. This is the best thing that ever happened to me. It's like a blessing for someone like me. Some mornings I wake up and can't even remember my name. I don't remember who I am, and even less so about those things. Therese stands in front of the curtains with his right hands behind his back and examines the window frame. Right now you seem very put together. He turns around. Who did you get the drawing from of Annie Ellen Lund's back? From whom? Oh, my lord. Mr. Trentmuller shakes his liver-spotted face tiredly. I don't remember such things anymore. The things I do want to remember, I don't remember. I don't remember my son. Then those other things like that. Don't hold back, Derek. Therese squats in front of the old man and puts his hands on his knees. Khan watches in horror as Agent Majidek drills into Derek's hooded eyes. Pull yourself together. You told your cellmate, Vidkun Heerd. You can't say that you don't remember Vidkun Heerd, can you? Who could forget? You told... Therese puts his hand under the old man's chin and turns his face towards him again. Do you hear me? You told Vidkun Heerd in prison that you knew someone who kidnapped the 4 Lund girls from the beach in Charlottesville 20 years ago. And you drew him a picture of one of the girls' birthmarks as proof. Derek, the drawing fits. Tears flow down Mr. Trentmuller's deflated cheeks. Derek, hello. The picture fits. I did. I went to the gay park. I don't remember. I don't want to. Derek cries his old man's cry, but Therese gets angrier and angrier. His upper lip is already starting to pull back over his tobacco-stained teeth. Derek shrinks away as if he's seen a ghost, but Therese's hand is covering the emergency button. If you are not cooperative because of your memory disease, then keep this in mind. We have quite the machine nowadays. It's like an ice cream scoop, Derek. I'll use it to pull whatever I need out of your skull, and then... Therese, says Khan. Khan has gotten up from his chair and is holding his shoulder. Then the blessing will come. Therese, don't start with that. Jesper doesn't understand. Confused, he watches as the agent leans over Derek, hand on the alarm button. Khan angrily pulls him by the shoulder. You know how it ruins you, Therese, you know. We need you in the ICP. You can't get fired. I have some other ideas. We don't have to. Therese calms down. Okay, Jesper, man the door. Jesper peers out into the empty corridor. The retirement home is quiet in the evening, as if abandoned. He pulls the door shut. Heart pounding in his chest, he leans his back against the door handle and nervously ruffles his blonde hair. The air in the room is thick. Jesper sees the old man shaking on the bed. He hides his face from Therese behind his hands. Linoleum salesman. The ICP agent says those words deliberately. The little man's sad, wrinkled eyes widen. His eyebrows rise. Who? Linoleum salesman. Your boyfriend. He made the drawing. He told you about the girls. Who is he? Who, Derek? He is just... Derek doesn't whine anymore. Tears dry on his cheeks. He slumps under the quilt as if struck by lightning. Just a linoleum salesman. They all were. That's how they referred to themselves. By profession. A tired sigh rolls out of his mouth. Oh my God. Help me. It is quiet in the room. Outside, a lone motor carriage whizzes by, and the shadows of the trees slide over Jesper, leaning against the door. Khan quietly pushes Therese aside. Well done, Derek. You can see how good it is now. With his big almond eyes, he looks at the old man under the quilt. You'll help us find these girls, won't you? 2 places, Therese whispers to Khan. 2 places, Derek. Tell us 2 places this man went. Where did he live? In which district? Do you know that? In Kexum. They were all in Kexum. Very good. Well done. And now one more. Think, Derek. Think of where else the linoleum man was staying. Help us find the girls. Where would he usually go? He watched them on the beach from a hotel. Havsunglar? Therese paces nervously by the window. I don't remember, please. We have it. Therese nods and takes 2 steps towards the door. Havsunglar, let's go. 18 years ago, Vidkun Heerd sits behind a self-made desk in the corner of the cell, a single strand of his old-fashioned, side-combed hair sticking to his forehead. In those days, you would call it classic-looking. Vidkun is young, relatively. Wrinkles don't cover his forehead yet, and his cheeks are only just beginning to droop like a Nordic bulldog's. His desk is piled high with manuscripts. Future philosophy, historicism, eugenic universal theory. It explains everything in the world. It is his legacy to mankind. Vidkun Heerd. Vidkun Heerd is written in bold letters on the cardboard cover. 2 small spring beds stand by the wall, and daylight streams in from a small window near the ceiling. Derek Trentmuller is lying in bed. He is old-ish, and somewhat distracted. He takes the silver cross from his neck, looks at it for a moment, and then starts laughing. You will like this. I think there's even an element of superhumanity and adventure and even scientific work in between, and all this, without a doubt, beyond good and evil. What a honeymoon of the fantastical work of the mind. Derek talks, and Vidkun takes notes. Nods matter-of-factly, asks to stop for a moment while he replaces the ink can. The spot of light from the window creeps across the floor and up the steel door. It gets dark. and Vidkun turns on the table lamp. He lifts a page into the air and blows on it. Good times. Good times. Derek stretches in the middle of the room and leans closer to Vidkun. And you know what he said then? The linoleum salesman? I'll never forget it. He performed brilliant surgery on them. He joined them together. The smallest died. The other survived. Like this, you see. Linoleum salesman. Linoleum salesman. The linoleum salesman reaches for the toilet paper. Salty sea air seeps into the guest room from outside Hafsanglar's balcony, where a telescope sits on the reed carpet. A special camera is connected to the back of the telescope. Afterwards, he wanders around outside. He reads the timetable in the waiting pavilion, but the last tram has already gone towards the city, with the girls on board. The summer evening is warm, and it warms his heart. He takes off his sandals and walks barefoot on the sunny asphalt. The asphalt is pale and crumbled. The tram tracks feel cool to the touch. Charlotte's yawl in the evening. He loves it. He loves the girls. He loves the beach where nothing means anything anymore. He is in love. This will never happen to me, he had thought. The northern lights winding over the polar settlement. Couples in the shade of greenhouses, snow falling behind the glass. This will never happen to the linoleum salesman. But he loves the beach and the girls. One of them in particular, especially this one, and the others too. Sand under bare feet between his toes, daytime heat, and then humidity. He walks by the water's edge. Music drifts from the gardens. The lights of the houses shine far away among the pine trees. Away, under the cliff, where no one can see. The stones are slippery from the water and cold under his bare feet. Where did his shoes go? He doesn't remember. He walks along the rocks, under the cliff, and the waves splash onto his pleated trousers. In the gentle darkness, he sinks to his knees and laughs. The pine trees are rustling. A swim. He goes between the rocks into the water, and no one can see how happy he is. His trousers get wet, he slips and hits his knee. So what? The water is dark and warm, and there are stars in the sky. To Telefunken. Jesper snaps his fingers. I have friends there, and it's close by. You can make as many calls as your heart desires from there, Therese. Work your magic. His hand is in the air as the three of them try to get a taxi on the only highway in the suburb of Lovisa. The machines whiz past and take off on the pillars of the motorway behind them. A wall of trees rises on the other side of the road. Traffic is sparse in the evening. It's 10:30, we'll make it. Khan waddles along. I don't know. Why rush? We should talk instead. What's there to talk about? Let's get on the phone. Let's make some calls and act on it tonight already. Like Jesper, Therese is also on the warpath. His hand is up even for those taxis that don't have their yellow signs lit. What are we waiting for? Haven't we waited enough? Exactly. And I don't care about the details. Jesper stands on one leg. A passing carriage splashes dirt onto his clothes. If you think that I'm dying to know what kind of horrible, ruinous, very emotional machine you, Therese, are using, know that I'm not interested. You're doing your work, and you don't have time. 3 days is the time during which the percentage of finding someone alive, especially a child, decreases by half every day. Every day. 150, 25%. What would you do? It's not important, damn it. The rain in the upper atmosphere slowly becomes a late fall sleet. A sizable wave from under a wheel splashes over Khan. You and her taxis. The stop is right in front of us. Jesper, you don't understand. Neither of you understand how it affects someone. Damn mesquine. Lizardine. Great, got it. Jesper runs along the side of the road after the taxi and shouts behind him. You would rather use the good cop tactics, right? Look, really, that's enough. Therese mutters under the window. The cabin of the taxi smells like leather. Con slides himself sideways into the cabin and pants. I guess you, Jesper, don't understand that this stuff is illegal in all the countries that have signed the declaration. By the way, the countries where the ICP have, well, authorizations. Therese finishes the sentence for Con, and then says through the wire partition into the driver's compartment, Telefunken. The cabin is quiet for a moment. The machine jerks into motion. Slush crunches under the carriage's wheels. Jesper is looking for an argument, but Therese butts in before he can say anything. Yes, I used the machine on Heard. My decision. He would never, ever have told us anything. He'd be sitting there grinning, telling me about crossbreeding Kogyos and Kips for 2 hours, and that's all. But Therese, a whimpering note comes into Con's voice. They're going to let you go. It's under control. And you know what? I don't want to talk about this anymore. The next day. The warm summer rain shimmers in the linoleum salesman's spyglass. The picture shakes as he adjusts the tripod, and then stays still. Sharp. Clear. The linoleum salesman's ears are ringing. Clouds glow in the sun. Rain falls on the hotel balcony. The wet line extends over half of the reed carpet, and the rain is pitter-pattering on the beach below. But in his head, he hears the happy drumming of drops on the sunshade, the parasol with small red flowers centered in the eye of the telescope. It's almost a kilometer away, on a cliff, but the linoleum salesman stretches his hand out into the rain and touches. Get out of the way, fat boy. The linoleum salesman had bought a woman's magazine in town. There on the cover was the fashionably dressed Anne Margaret Lund, a woman in politics, and inside there were pictures. Anne Margaret in her beautiful apartment, and there beside her, on the coffee-colored sofa, her 4 daughters. The names and ages were lined up under the picture. Annie Ellen. What stories didn't he invent the day he saw them for the first time? Scary things, how he takes them. The linoleum salesman is a physician, a doctor. Dr. Linoleum Salesman. And he makes them walk like this, walk in front of him, and even that wasn't enough for him. How his nerves screamed then, hungry. They wanted to eat them alive, those nerves, and how it all drew back when he came here. What a place. They chatted behind him, 2 seats facing each other in the train, and the linoleum salesman could smell their white hair. The tram rolled down the slope. The horses trotted along. The beach came to him, not the other way around. And the 4 of them led him there. A veil of dust rose from the asphalt. Cattails swayed, and the sun shone in a pale blue sky. It was not like those other beaches, in Orda, and nearby in Vasa, in Ostermalm, where the linoleum salesman would sweat. He had shifted between the disgusting, walrus-like bodies and chased the little walrus pups with his eyes. This was not the Yalinka swimming pool, where the linoleum salesman's eyes would redden from the chlorine water, and he had to wait 2 hours before he could get out of the pool. The wind ruffled his hair, and the spaciousness. The world would fit inside it. The wind blew. He had taken the highest hotel room, so that the wind would blow into him and cool the linoleum salesman. He looked at them gently. He didn't even dare to go down to the beach, close to them. He would burn to ashes if he even touched them. He took pictures. The photons traveled the same light that was tanning the girl's back, bounced off her tiny, tiny birthmarks, and ate away at the jet-black negative. White dots like stars in the night sky. The exposure time of a memory. He made a rope out of linen, a loop, and masturbated for the last time. His breath fluttered against the sheet, and the linoleum salesman came out of him along with his cum and evaporated. The memory of the linoleum salesman and all that the linoleum salesman saw fades day by day. Drops are pattering on the parasol, and Annie stretches out her hand to the piano like clattering rain. Today, when he woke up, he no longer remembered the linoleum salesman. A family photo was taken in the Photoshop with a small walrus, and he briefly remembers the linoleum salesman. And also later, though less and less over time, he remembers the linoleum salesman. Annie shakes her white head in the rain, her braid on her back, and behind the telescope, only he is left to stare in dismay. Thousands of kilometers and 2 months more than 20 years away, on the other side of winter's orbit, the meteorological research ship Rodionov stands in an ice prison. It's 12:30 in the polar night. The northern passage stretches out in the floodlights before the crew, a cold vision. Men in fur coats are bustling around on deck, their silver-gray collars pulled up to their fur hats. The crew is in a panic. There, where the darkness seems to recede a little, but the distance moves infinitely forward, without the slightest sense of a horizon, that's where the pale begins. The crew feels and fears, although no one can see more than 100 meters into the night. The probe's antenna unit broadcasts a desperate distress signal, along with scientific readings. This radio transmission reaches the Katlograd Oblast relay station in a monstrously distorted curved mirror from the approaching pale. Sinus, aureole, sinus. Sinus, aureole, sinus. There is a rumbling sound as the ice caps arch into the sky, a sweeping gust of wind like music reversed and slowed down tenfold. The pale is approaching, an avalanche of the world's memories, and burying matter greedily. The expanse of the night sky disappears, star by star, under its rolling crest. From orbit, the communication satellite Icon can see how the pale sweeps over the entirety of Katla's northern passage in one wave. Samarskilt, a rocky desert in South Samara, and half of Supramundi in Mundi also sink. The pale cycles, bends. In its peace, a rebellion against matter gathers. Funnels swallow in the eye of the storm. Azimuth calibrates on the edge of the stratosphere. Zones of imminent entroponetic catastrophe now include Lemonkais, the Nad Umai ecoregion in the taiga of northeastern Samara, Yekokata, and the Severnaya Zemlya irrigation zone network in Grad, the Semenine Islands on Les Immensités Bleues, distant corners of matter abandoned by life. It is the 29th of September in the early 70s. The class reunion was 2 nights ago. Now, it's the end of the world. And 2 hours ago, Therese Majicek, on a phone dragged onto a table in the restaurant on Telefunken's panoramic floor, ordered Hafsanglar's secretary to read to him the entire guest list for June and July of the 52nd year. The table is overflowing with food. The claws of an exquisite crayfish lay halfway on top of the phone. Con is quite enjoying the exquisite crayfish, as Jesper explains how to suck out the meat and juice from inside this and that tube. Suck, keep sucking, Jesper says, and motions to the waiter to take the appetizer plates away. Today's dinner is a la Jesper, at Jesper's expense, and Jesper likes to eat well. He doesn't concoct slop out of rice and macaroni. Con keeps sucking. Well, I don't know, this is better, of course, but if you add dumplings to the rice and macaroni. Jesper sips ice water. Therese, listen, I can take Kex on myself. I designed a pediatrician's living space there, and they know a developer. I think you should have access to, what was it called? The Register of Residents, says Therese. His shoulder throbs in pain, but the Yugogradian red wine here is so inviting that you can't not drink it. And to do that, he has to put the phone on his shoulder again. The secretary already hung up once. Then Therese called the administration and asked to pass on the following message. The lives of 4 little girls will be on your conscience. It worked. Next to the glass of wine in front of him, Khan is holding a notebook open with one hand, and there are more than 2,000 names written on the wavy pages. Halfway, ma'am. Only 2,000 more. His head screams from all the lars, throbs from all the bergs, aches flash in front of his eyes like train lights. Okay, then. Jesper unfolds the napkin, which had been folded into an impressive cone, and wipes his mouth. It's 11:30. Another hour and a half to go, and then it closes. I can bargain for 2.5, so let's start. I'll work on getting the register of residence. The waiter brings another phone to the table. The rest of the guests watch the trio eat with restrained interest. For the second hour in a row, the thin Kokyo is reading names in a monotonous voice and writing them down in a notebook. An overweight, tawny-skinned man in a black, double-breasted Perseus black dress shirt pushes up his glasses, cracks open a crayfish claw, and then waves to a lady in a hat at the opposite table. In Teresa's notebook, the queue gets messed up after that. Khan, hey, you don't have the hardest job here. Get to it. Therese, listen, for God's sake, let's take this notepad. No, it must be in the notebook. What's the big deal with the notebook? Derek Trentmuller, Therese says in a familiar mechanical voice, and then looks at Khan with wide eyes. Derek Trentmuller. Hello? Are you sure? Has he marked something there too? Vacation. What else? Linoleum salesman, the secretary says in a tired voice on the other end of the receiver. Derek damn Trentmuller, 17th to 24th of June, linoleum salesman. Jesper bangs his fist on the table he designed himself 5 years ago. Khan puts a crayfish claw on a plate. Now it's Saum's turn. Derek Trentmuller dreams of the linoleum salesman. All the things that the linoleum salesman saw revolve before his eyes like a homogeneous mass of flesh and darkness. From time to time, he wakes up. He doesn't feel sleepy. Then the maelstrom of flesh and darkness comes again, and Derek falls asleep. In Derek's dream, they are lovers, he and the linoleum salesman. He is someone else. There is a clicking sound coming through the emerging, formless memory. The window creaks. The panes are rattling in the frames. Then there's a thump. Derek wakes up. Death. It must be death. Dark brown flowers on floral wallpaper. The shadows of the branches sway, and the curtains flutter in the wind. Yes, it is exactly as Derek always imagined it. In front of the open window, a tall, thin figure takes off its herringbone coat. There are more to come. Fat Death thuds from the windowsill to the floor with his hat on and whispers, Okay, inside, keep guard. The tall Death comes to the bedside and disconnects the alarm button. The fat Death turns on the desk lamp and steps over Derek, placing a hand softly on his hair. Those big, dark brown eyes look familiar. Derek, don't freak out. We need something from you now. We need you to remember. And that's why we're giving you a little injection. It doesn't hurt. It's like sleep. Derek hears the click of a suitcase, and the tall Death presses a leather-gloved hand over his mouth. What a strange smell. Everything dissipates as kind, dark brown eyes watch. But what if he really doesn't remember? Will it still work then? We'll see. Derek Trentmuller opens up in front of Therese. This time, Therese is the monster at the water's edge, a tiger wading through water. He's always there, spying, and wherever Derek ends up, the tiger prowls, sniffs, and finds a linoleum salesman. In Norrköping, in the fjord town of Arda, on the magnet train, in the polar settlement of Jelinka. He stalks, his phosphor-green eyes glowing, into the dark nooks and crannies where the linoleum salesman hangs out. He's in a low-ceilinged, concrete-walled basement when the linoleum salesman makes faces at his niece. When he finally reaches Vasa, the tiger is waiting at the floating train station, sitting at the end of the platform and licking its paws, where the shine of the street lights does not reach. He rustles the alder bushes in the park, and the linoleum salesman is startled. When he's walking through the streets of Lovisa on a spring morning, with a hole cut with scissors in his trouser pocket, the tiger's heart becomes visible for just a moment. A schoolyard, a fight, small boys appear. When the linoleum salesman comes to Charlotte's Yawl, Therese is there treading the wind. He is a bird of prey. He is watching. He has the eyes of an eagle, and he sees all. Until one night, he sees the linoleum salesman disappearing in the top-floor room of the Havsenglar Hotel. Half of the person is gone. Day by day, he forgets that the linoleum salesman ever existed, until finally, only the senile old Derek Trentmuller remains. Linoleum, 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 he hums. Does such a word as linoleum even exist? A strange, strange feeling of loss. But it is not at all the linoleum that he misses. The linoleum salesman mourns himself. Sometimes he remembers himself and imagines a life where he never disappeared. He spews profanities and reads Vidkunhird's memoirs, keeps fantasizing in his own ways. Derek Trentmuller longs for something completely different. It is the 29th of August, 20 years ago, and he is unwell. Something is wrong. He couldn't catch any sleep for the whole night. The morning newspaper is lying on the bathroom floor. The 4 daughters of the Minister of Education have disappeared. Derek Trentmuller can't breathe. The world is going wrong. Time is out of joint. In the shine of a red bulb, the hobbyist photographer is developing pictures taken from the balcony of the hotel. His hands shake. He's sure they were there. So sure. But lined up and hanging from clothes pins on the clothesline, the photos all have horror vacui. Nothing. The contours of the cliff appear on the paper, floating in the development bath. A pale summer sky. But not them. Colin and Jesper carry Therese, who's drifting in and out of consciousness, into a taxi. His shoes slide along the ground. He trembles. Jesper's voice comes from the convex mirror. Jesper is a totally cool guy. Therese, stay awake. What are we going to do with you? He did not do it. He didn't do it. Okay, but what are we going to do with you now? Take her to the hospital? Therese. Therese's voice is barely audible. What do we do now? I don't know. You tell me. Are we taking you to the hospital, or are you sleeping it off? Therese tries to gain stability. No, you don't understand. It was a dead end. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do next. Con holds Therese's head down as the two of them put him in the taxi. Hold on, Tiger. First you sleep it off, then it's my turn. I have a plan. Therese faints. Everything fades. 9. Sacred and terrible air. What was that sacred and terrible smell, that elusive smell in the air that time? My name is Ambrosius Miro. The Surays say Ambrosius Pihamira, and in Grad they call me Sviata Mira. Deduska? They ask, their eyes wide with affection. But I answer them, no, I am not your Deduska. I am Ambrosius Santa Mira of Mesk, Ambrosio Hagia Mira of the Cyprians. I am Ambrosia, the holy world. You chose me, validated me with your life, with your thoughts, in your thought cabinet. In the evening, when you went to sleep, and the next morning from the windows of public transportation. But what I'm doing is no longer a discussion. There are no arguments here. There is no need to choose sides. The time for doubt is over. I come once in an age. It is a great joy to live when I am in the world. I am innocent, and now you are too. When you make a decision, either it was right or it was mistaken. When I decide, my decision is what it is. Back then, when God still seemed an interesting thought to you, I was Pius of Paracarnassus. I was Erno Pasternak. You wanted to be betrayed and lacerated. I made you sing Pasternakios about how awesome I and my unnecessary war were. You wanted to hate me then. I was Franco-Negro. You were nationalists. You wanted an international black banknote and militarism. You wanted to work in a factory, longed to serve God and medieval industrial architecture. You wanted to live under a concrete arch. I was a woman, Dolores Day, when you felt like you wanted a mother, a perfect mother. I had beautiful breasts. I was young, and so were you. You wanted to fall in love, and I let you. Humanism, Renaissance, caring for each other. I put you in school and taught you languages. You got tired of me, and I died. You wanted a world without me. And then I was the innocence sola to you, an indifferent girl sitting back and watching you orchestrate coups. Do it yourself, then make mistakes. Don't learn anything, I thought. I was a citizen. I went from country to country, from incel to incel, and introduced you to my thoughts. Everywhere I went, I infected you with my pessimism and nihilism. I talked on the radio about how everything's wrong, how everyone is égal, pourri, who cares, presidents, kings, princes, and sheiks. All were afraid of me. No one wanted to let me into their suzerainty. They wanted me in their publishing house, on the big screen and in their talk shows, but when I signed autographs in the bookstore, they saw. You gathered in heaps, and when I spoke on the radio, the ratings went up. I was brilliantly successful. Thank you. You made me happy. They let me on their talk show, and there I showed what thoughts a person is capable of. You may be right, too, and how witty you are. You kept listening and laughing. You called your whole family to the radiola, and together you heard about how special you really are. I could have a supermodel girlfriend, too, I said, but I have chosen loneliness. Wouldn't it be bourgeois? Dear supermodel, of course I could spend the night with you. We'd have fun. You'd be numb as a pillow from cocaine. I'd pipe milk up your ass and watch it squirt out. Sure, I've thought about it, but it wouldn't be me anymore. It would go against everything I believe in. But it's a show. That's not why you chose me. I was the only one who asked. What was that sacred and terrible smell in the air that time? I don't have the weakness and arrogance to tell you what it is. I don't pretend to know what terrible beauty is it to you, the secret of your heart. End of story. I'll show you. I want to peel away the world, layer by layer. And this time it's not a scam or a figure of speech. It's realpolitik. I attack. Revachol, then Grad, and then further. It never ends. I open front after front, then when all who are not with me are dead, and the pale sweeps over the world, have at it. Here are the terminals where you would fall to your death. Go of your own free will. It means nothing. I'm evacuating the world. We will go to live in the past, in front of the outpatient clinic on the park bench, you will come again. You are together under the paradna. The rain is pouring down. You are talking. Your friends come across the square in the snowy city. Their collars are up too. All that remains of this world is a memory, an intraponetic catastrophe. You could never tell quite what it was. When your eyes were rolled back and staring straight into your head, you couldn't tell. A ghost. She slipped into all the lost places, into the irreversible. I'll give her to you to take, her smell in your hands, a sacred and terrible smell. Now rub your face with her. The pale, she is ripe with color, seeping through the grubby slits. I open the blinds and the intermediate frequencies. All the terrible lost colors of the past come out. Everything is again. This is where nihilism leads. It is no longer what could be, or what could not be. It is. The entire world is a zone of imminent intraponetic catastrophe. 10. Good night, Annie. The lights are off when Jesper arrives at his suburban home. He wanders around until his eyes get used to it. Gradually, the square-shaped outlines of the furniture emerge from the darkness. He doesn't even take off his boots. It is clean and quiet. The wall of windows, spanning more than half of the room, has been freshly washed. Someone has packed away Teresa's bedroll, and the ICP agent's vomit bowl is gone. The parquet shines. Mud seeps from Jesper's winter boots into the wool carpet. A bookshelf wall separates the sleeping area from the large main room. Jesper stops. Several department store bags catch in his eye. Ozone, En Provence, tea shop. Smells like green tea. A microscopic silver dress dangles from a coat hanger on the shelf. The fabric glimmers in the dark. Jesper parts the curtains and slips between them into the bedroom. Dim light spills from the corner window onto the bed. Between the sheets, her blonde hair splayed across a black pillow, sleeps Anita, Jesper's model girlfriend. Shadows run along the young girl's body. She is shifted out from under the feather duvet. There is a single birthmark on her chest, the curve of her ribs. Jesper watches her chest rise and tries to remember. 4 years. They've been together for 4 years. What is she now, 19? Jesper is 34. Hey, wake up. The girl hums in her dreams like a child. Jesper blows in her ear, a blonde lock of hair fluttering in his breath. Annie, wake up. It's Jesper here, hey. Jesper, come to bed. The girl pulls the edge of the blanket up under her chin. It's so nice and cool here. Listen, I can't. I have to go. Go? Where to now? Get up and let's talk a little bit. Want me to make some tea or something for you? I brought you some tea, did you see? La Vasson Orange's mixed model stretches. Her joints slide. Black shadows move across the sea of blankets. I saw, yes. Thank you so much. It was really thoughtful of you. Let's talk tomorrow, Jesper. The girl begs, sleepy vowels drawn out as long as her legs. Let's go to bed. I already said I can't talk tomorrow. I'm going away. Jesper watches her face. Silence. The numbers in the flip clock rattle for a moment. The wind howls outside the window. She chuckles suddenly. Don't go into the woods with your friends again. I haven't seen you at all. We'll be together tomorrow. I came to spend time with you after all. No, you don't understand. I'm leaving today. Today? What time is it now? The white flip numbers rustle. 2 at night? Where are you going like this? You've been really weird lately. The girl pulls herself up onto her elbows, her mouth twisting anxiously. I came here for you. I wouldn't have come otherwise. I'm sorry. Really. And I'm also sorry for what I'm going to ask you to do now. But be a dear and get out of bed for a second. I need to move it. What do you have under there? Things. The girl stands on the cold floor, rubbing one leg against the other and watching intently as Jesper drags the bed aside. Its legs squeak. The Vasson Oranges model holds the blanket around her shoulders like armor. She is very beautiful, but that doesn't mean anything anymore. Where are you going? In response, Jesper kneels, the floorboards creaking beneath him. I'm going to disappear. A hidden hatch opens in the floor, and Jesper drags out a snow-white bulging suitcase from within it. And when will you come back from your disappearance? I could give you some slick answer, but it would be too cruel. It's better if I don't say anything. The suitcase zipper slides open, and Jesper takes a stack of papers out of the pocket. The girl is annoyed. There are some Jespers that she likes. Homely Jesper who makes tea, practical Jesper, the Jesper who gets awkward showing his sympathy. But this is the kind of Jesper she doesn't like. Please don't treat me like I'm an idiot. This isn't some newspaper culture section interview you're doing right now. Okay then. Jesper nervously rolls up the papers into a tube. Remember when I told you about the thing I had with the Lund girls? That I knew them, that they disappeared, and so on? At my parents' cottage. The girl's eyebrows are still raised, suspiciously, but the set of her mouth softens at the memory. You were so drunk. See, now that's why I don't drink. Jesper laughs awkwardly. But you just had to ask, didn't you? You were so funny back then. So funny, Jesper repeats bitterly. Back then. All right, I was funny. Anyways, I'm going to go looking for them. Looking for who? Cornelius Gertie, who do you think? The doll-like model leans back against the wall, her knees popping in her enviable bone structure as she slides down to sitting. But you said back then that it was pointless. You said that you'd, put it behind you. Maybe you don't remember saying that. Jesper taps the rolled-up papers against the palm of his hand and takes a few contemplative steps across the floor, as if he were in consultation with another Jesper, the one who got drunk at Anita's parents' cottage. A very inappropriate incident, very inappropriate for Jesper. But still, that Jesper is 1,000 times smarter, 1,000 times better off than this baffled creature here. He ruffles his blonde hair with the roll of papers and says, There's still hope. Jesper, you don't understand. I have to. Jesper places the papers, his real estate papers, in the girl's scrawny hands. Stay here. Take my house and live here, please. Sell off both of the apartments in the city center as fast as you can. Prices will start falling tomorrow. First thing in the morning, run to my real estate agent. Look, here's the number. The girl's shoulders shake, but everything is silent. Only the wind still whines outside the window. Jesper squats down in front of the model girl, the hem of his winter coat brushing the parquet floor. He puts a hand on her shoulder. Hey, I'm going to make tea now, all right? The flip clock reads 2:30. Cups steam on the floor. Brown cubes of sugar sit in a square sugar bowl, with a special spoon for lifting the cubes. It is difficult to pour in the dark, but it doesn't feel appropriate to turn the lights on either. 2:45. I don't understand. What does this mean now? The girl swallows at the end of a long silence. Well, what do you think it means? And all this time, you had that suitcase. The girl points with her index finger to the center of the room, as if I didn't exist at all. It was there long before you. What? So I was supposed to be able to change your mind? Hey, now try to be understanding. Understanding? You know what I think? The model angrily sets the teacup on the floor. I think this Lund girls thing is complete bullshit. You're just a pedophile. The look of betrayal on Jesper's face is unforgettable. Even the girl is stunned by the power her words hold. For this moment, and only for this moment, she regrets them. Okay then. Jesper stands up without a moment's notice. He picks up the suitcase and calmly steps out from between the curtains. Indignation overtakes Anita again, and the photo model, naked and angry, rushes after Jesper into the main room. You can shove your cube up your ass. I'm not going to stay in this Catland backwater for the rest of my life. The stack of white papers flies from her hand, scattering across the dark room, fluttering down one by one onto an extraordinarily beautiful wooden table, onto the herringbone pattern of the wooden floor. Jesper doesn't turn around yet. He pauses and tilts his head. So, where do you think you're going to go if you're not staying here? Are you going to go work at an ammunition factory in Grod? You're pathetic. You and your girls. It's just pathetic. Everyone warned me, and I knew long before the cottage, too. Everyone knows. I was just 15 then. I was so stupid. Anita is out of breath, leaning on the kitchen counter with one hand. Annie this and Annie that. My name is not Annie. Jesper feels his hands go cold. The word morbid circles back to him. He remembers himself. The underage lingerie model in his arms, dozens and hundreds of times in a row. Good night, Annie. Good night, Annie. Good night. I'm so happy. He falls asleep. The branches of the trees rustling outside the window like a second chance. This is sad. It's all totally great. The photo model returns to the bedroom and shouts in an inexplicable fit of wickedness, Good night, Annie. The human mind is inherently sincere. It doesn't think that such nightmarish coincidences are possible at first, but the clearer the difference between Jesper's own thoughts and the mocking voice that rang out in the room becomes, the more his breathing slows, as if his body was preparing to pass out from shame. He picks up the papers from the floor, sheet by sheet, and taps the stack into order on his knee. He chooses his words, not even knowing exactly who he wants to attack, most likely the entire world. He walks back into the bedroom, places the papers on the bedside table, and plays his terrible trump card. And do you think you can return to Revachol? It's not in a good state anymore. It's not there. Look. The girl sits on the bed and pulls on her evening dress in a childish fit of anger, not really understanding yet what this is about. The city is no more, Jesper repeats, and now the girl gets up, startled. What do you mean? You know, there's been no contact for 5 days. What are you talking about? Contact with what? With Revachol. An explosion. Gone. You really should read more newspapers. Are you kidding? Caught up in his revenge, Jesper doesn't quite know yet what's wrong with what he's doing. He senses something, but it's too late now. The girl gasps for air, her hands shaking in panic. Her fingernails click on the buttons, and in the dark, the yellowish radio panel lights up. The wheel spins under her fingers. There's an ethereal hiss in the speakers, full of squeaks and whines as the needle on the panel slides through the shortwave frequencies. Foreign language news programs speak with anxious professionalism, all jumbled together. Her cosmopolitan mind grasps only horrible fragments of it. Mesque aggressor, Saint Miro, Revachol, atomic weapon, and half the population. She trembles so intensely that Jesper begins to fear for her health. With every moment of this crackly radio report, she just falls more to pieces. Finally, a female Vossen announcer delivers the death blow. The girl breaks down as the announcer, with the voice so specific to this reality, reads over the Ministry of Foreign Affairs list of domestic travelers. Well-known singer Pernilla Lundqvist, while recording her 3rd studio album. Anita's big eyes are wide and dull with horror in the darkness. My God, she bawls. My sister is there. I'm so sorry, Jesper says. Are you sure? How can they be sure? Why aren't they doing something? I don't know. Jesper grabs his suitcase. The girl gasps for air like a whinnying horse. Her mouth transforms into a huge, dark scream. This mouth threatens to swallow the world. And so it does, because Jesper can't remember what happened next. White, white snow blows into the vacuum of the scream, the room echoing with a concrete, shrill, "Don't go." Jesper's wrist has bruises from her fingernails. He slams the door shut behind him and stands in front of the house. It's storming outside. It's cold, and the wind is whistling, but his skin is feverishly hot. He grabs a handful of snow and shoves it in his face. On the edge of the courtyard, at the mouth of a tunnel made of spruce trees, stands a black motor carriage. Therese Matchajek steps out of the machine and, standing in the light from the cabin, gestures to him. Jesper strides across the courtyard, his coat fluttering in the wind and a white suitcase in his hand. The spruces are flinging snow streaks into the wind. Zigzag drum. And then suddenly the world is so light, as if all meaning has disappeared from it. He is no longer worth anything. Jesper smiles. It's warm in the cabin of the taxi. The machine sways as he flops down across from Khan. Therese shuts the door and slides in beside him. How did it go? Well, let's just say it didn't go too well, Jesper replies, collecting himself for a moment. Let's ride. The night leading into Monday, 7 days earlier. The city explodes in the taxi window like a discotheque. Therese trembles, losing his mind. Jesper holds on to him tightly. Hey, he's having a seizure or something. Seems pretty bad. We need to take him to the hospital. Therese, listen. Khan leans over his friend. We really should take you to the hospital. No. Therese grabs Khan's jacket. Please. The men look at each other questioningly and shrug. You have to promise me, Therese says, face dripping with sweat. Promise you won't give me up. His chin trembles for a moment, and then his gaze goes blank, his body stiff as a board. What the hell? Jesper shakes Therese, then puts a hand in front of his mouth. He's breathing. Look, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't take him? Yeah, let's not. Your place, then? Jesper sighs heavily. Okay, my place. There's just one problem. My girl from Revachol is coming over the day after tomorrow. What do you think? Will he be okay by then? Khan shakes his head irritably. How am I supposed to know? You don't know any private doctors? Private doctors? Khan, you can't get a license if you don't work in a hospital. Well, I thought maybe you might know someone. I know one ordinary doctor, Khan. Will an ordinary doctor be enough? All right, don't take offense now. The taxi speeds through the Vossen night. Meanwhile, Therese is the linoleum salesman, then Vidkun Heerd, then Dirk Trentmuller, then Therese Matchajek again. Sometimes he feels like he doesn't really exist at all anymore. Squid black ink pours over Vassa's explosion of colors. The aquarium darkens. Therese's suit is the blackest of blacks. It's made from leaves from the trees, from the sound of slush under tires, from the sky above the city. He pulls his cuffs straight and adjusts his tie. He's solemn. He's dapper. His suit smells like dry cleaning. And then, like umbrellas under the birches of the cemetery, a funeral party opens up before him. The feared, the longed for. Everyone is there. The girl's mother wears a black lace mourning veil over her elegant worry wrinkles. Paper industrialist Coral Lund holds an umbrella above her head. The birch leaves are trembling in the end of summer rain. Khan and Jesper are also at the funeral. Even Khan's mother has come, and the whole class too. They are all much older now. Therese doesn't recognize most of them. But this must be Sixten, and there's little Ollie. Von Fersen talks to his lackey, and Ziggy, the baddest boy in school, is also present, still wearing his black leather jacket. Jesper is the only one holding a white umbrella. Therese walks through the funeral party, Everyone is talking quietly, patting each other on the shoulder. As Therese passes by, under the piles of flowers, inside the soft, fluffy soil, there is a series of toe bones, ribs, the arcs of clavicles, skull bones lined up like relics. Nothing is missing. Everything is still there, safely stored. The papers are as clear as schoolwork. It's a magnum opus of forensic identification. They're going to teach this at the academy. There's a handful of teeth, too. Madge's little milk teeth, pearls from Annie's jaw, Malin's evil, evil grin. Everything is there. Everything adds up. Every little filling. The missing piece of Annie's molar from a bicycle accident. And Charlotte's movie star smile. How tempting it would be to take something from there. Just like that, as a souvenir. How they would clink in the palm, those gems. But you can't do that. That would be unprofessional. A doctor comes and injects saline on Monday night, going into Tuesday. Therese's head clears slowly. It's chilly, and at the funeral party, everything is gray and silvery green. Gray mist over the chokeberry bushes, old-fashioned crystalware with fruit motifs on the table. It's quiet. In the bushes, something rustles like a radio broadcast. Regaining consciousness, Therese realizes what it was. The news of the collapse of the Northern Passage has created alarm in the public space, and he hasn't the slightest desire to play along. He asks Jesper to switch to classical music. Classical radio, they say, will still broadcast the music of dead, white-skinned men in wigs, even when the world has long since ended. The waves of Perrault's Mitresi are beautiful to listen to, like the ocean. Grave. Everyone dances, slowly, and the more Therese thinks about it, the clearer it becomes to him that the funeral party will never come. The case has been exhausted. By Tuesday morning, he's ready to admit to himself that they'll never know what happened to the Lund children. Heel plates leave indentations on the floor mat of the taxi. The girl lifts her leg over her knee, her coral red varnished toenails all in a row beneath the skin-colored straps, securing her Serge Van Dyck's. Gem clusters sparkle where the straps all come together. Elegant, wouldn't you say? If there were some obscene crystals stuck onto department store shoes, that would be a complete faux pas. But this Serge Van Dyck here, the one we are looking at now, cost 10,000 real. The other one cost 500 real more for maintenance work. A lone diamond leapt into a sewer on the Revachol Delta. What a dizzying night that was. And besides, Serge Van Dyck himself said that there is a difference between elegance and snobbery, and since Serge designed these shoes, well, draw your own conclusions. Korsval, please. 1:30. I think it's a bit out of town. Will that be a problem? Shoe size 37, and what an arch on the foot, like the arcades of the West. The podiatrist from the Kexum ring would give these a 9.5 on the trapping in a basement scale, out of 10. A chime sounds from her suitcase phone, and the lid opens with a click. But we are still watching those 10,000 real Serge Van Dyck's. How the gems shine as her foot swings to the rhythm of Fackengaff playing on the taxi radio. We simply can't get enough of them. Hello, Berenice, dear. Ozone, so nice. I've always wanted to do something with them. No, I won't stay long, a couple of weeks. The taxi door closes. Thank you. 13-centimeter heels tap on the footpath. It's getting dark. Here it's always either dim or dark. Where did the day disappear to? Her white calves flash. The concrete cube can be seen under the spruce trees in the distance. The lights are on inside. Moss glistens, and frost covers mud puddles in the cold before the October storms. Her travel suitcase is lowered down next to her shoes at the front door. The doorbell chimes. Jesper's model girlfriend's legs go on forever. We crawl our way up and up, but it seems like the edge of that bell-shaped coat will never come. Just at the curve of her butt, the Mesk world-destroying air fleet, black as lubricating grease, reaches the horizon of Revachol. In fact, in the fashion capital of Anita's kneecap, They're already putting their hands over their eyes and asking, "What is that ominous chimney smoke over there on the ocean like storm clouds?" "It's unlocked," Jesper shouts from within. The girl walks in, and the main room opens up in front of her, smelling of sweat. Tobacco sweat. Lots of both tobacco and sweat. Jesper walks across the room from under the window. There's some guy on a mattress, his greasy potato-colored head peeking out from under a blanket. Jesper takes the girl's suitcases and introduces her to the fat guy next to the sweaty guy. The immigrant smiles awkwardly, and when he offers his hand, it too is warm and sweaty. "Anita," the girl introduces herself. "I'm Inuit, but everyone here calls me Con. You can call me Con, too. And this here," he points to the pile of blankets, "this is my mate Therese Majajek. He's not feeling well, as you can see." Con thinks he did quite well. It could have gone worse. "What the what? Jesper, why didn't you tell me you were dating a real model? Totally rad. If I had Anita Lundqvist, I would tell everyone. Hey, give me an autograph. Hey, your sister is Pernilla Lundqvist, right? Give me Pernilla's phone number. Show me your tits. Jesper, tell her to show us her tits." Con ruins the jovial introduction by grimacing to himself about tits. Now he finds himself looking at them too, under the girl's loose, fashionable tank top. "Tits, tits, a model's tits, famous model's tits," he thinks, his grin spreading. Of course, he doesn't notice that the girl is already asking about Therese for the second time. Poor guy. What's wrong with him? Food poisoning. Jesper grabs her by the arm and guides her into the bedroom to change clothes. Con, applying some tact, shouts from the door, "Hey, okay then. I'll see you tomorrow, all right?" "Are you going already? Wait, I'll call you a taxi." "You and your taxis, I'd rather walk." "Goodbye," the girl exclaims amicably. As Colin trudges along the forest road and over the frosty moss to the stop, the girl on the bed pulls on some pants. On the loose bohemian fashion tank top is printed the face of Serge Van Dyck in a revolutionary two-color scheme, gray and turquoise, as if stenciled. What? It's not pretentious. Van Dyck is also something of a revolutionary, in his own way, like a fashion revolutionary. He's the Mazov of the fashion world. Only he doesn't send the bourgeoisie away to the taiga of northeastern Grad as much as he, well, sells them clothes. Jesper, who are those people? What do you mean? You've never told me about any Con. And that other one? Therese. They're just old classmates from high school. We had a reunion the other day, a class reunion. Didn't I tell you about that? No. Weird. Yeah, weird. Well, we were just reminiscing a bit about old times. Listen, Therese lives in Grad. He'll probably stay here a few more nights, hope you don't mind. Of course not, the girl says. But she has a bad feeling about all of this. Her suspicious gaze drills into Jesper's back as he brews tea. How she was welcomed left much to be desired. One lousy kiss. The girl paces around the bedroom irritably until she notices a ring box among the books on the bedside table. Oh, a surprise for the evening. The box is just far enough for Jesper to be able to reach it from the bed. Could it be? Maybe not, but it's still better to know what's coming. And besides, curiosity. Her mood improves immediately. A black velvet box, a tiny box. The girl opens the box. Click. Night settles over Vasa. In downtown Königsmalm, a fox cub runs across an intersection. The steam from the animal's breath paints the air blue. Its ears prick up. The street is quiet and empty. The balcony baskets of the downtown houses stand in a row, and yellow traffic lights flash in the mirrors of dark windows. The northern metropolis is a light installation at night. A beautiful, modern thing. Only there are hardly any visitors. The Royal Architecture Museum, built in the Desiderata style, looms over the river, the lighting on its facade making the building glow golden. In the dark below, river water drifts by, like viscous vodka fresh out of the fridge. Bridges arch over it, rows of perfect, pearly lanterns lining their backs. A lone cyclist rides home in a whirlwind of spokes, and there is a smell of farewells in the air. The billboards sitting on the corners of the department store roofs are buzzing off to power-saving mode. The giant lingerie model floating above the rows of payphones smiles and disappears. Anita Lundqvist. "Dear child, cover yourself up," the Presidium Chairman Separmat Nishnitsky would say. "Aren't you cold?" Two ICP agents run up the stairs of the police station. "Therese Machijek. Where is Therese Machijek? You arrested him 4 days ago." This man is the man from Internal Affairs. He is the angel of death. Therese who? Machijek? The on-duty officer waits for a response from the machine. "We haven't had anyone with that name here." The asphalt sparkles. In Salem, the night is cold, and the mud puddles are frozen. Wooden houses huddle along the sidewalks, and sparse footsteps echo from the street. Somewhere inside, in a basement, Eniat Khan flicks the lights of Harnankar on and off. In the dark room, the model airship's display is the only source of light. Every time it turns off, and then lights up again, Khan's face comes into view. The lines of light on the ship's deck are reflected in the thick lenses of his dye-materialist glasses. He has an idea, a spark, the kind you only see when all the other lights go out. Khan has been waiting for this moment for 2 years. He cuts through the strings, cradles the airship like a baby, and dances with it in his arms. An empty display case remains standing in the middle of the room. The glowing filaments of spotlight go cold on the other side of the road. In the manege, the carriages of the horse-drawn trams disappear into the darkness. Horses sleep in rows in their stables. Suburban streets pass by, white slats of picket fences. The distant bark of dogs can be heard. Window frames glow in the dark, and wooden garden furniture stands empty on the porch. Who's rustling around in the gooseberry bushes? The night smells cold. The fear of the future lurks in the dreams of a nuclear family, and where Lovisa ends, the coniferous forest begins, and Jesper Delagati rolls out of bed. Anita fell asleep angry, and Jesper is worried, but not because of that. Jesper can't find his precious scrunchie. He sniffs around in his underwear, checks the bedside table, the bookshelf, and then pulls on his bathrobe and steps through the curtains into the living room. The wall of windows shines in the dark, and the floor is a minefield made of milk cartons, socks, mugs being used as ashtrays, and a hermit crab named Therese Machijek, who's settling into his new shell. The agent wakes up, nose pressed against the glass. Jesper puts a cup of tea in front of him. It smells of mint. "Hey, wake up. I'd like to talk a little bit. I don't know, just chat or something." "Okay, but I want to smoke inside." Mouths move, bursts of laughter can be heard, and hour by hour it turns more bluish outside the window. A pile of mug ashtrays and cups slowly emerge from the darkness. The blue morning light also glows outside the windows of the Kino Cafe. Wednesday, outside in Ostermalm, the early risers are busying themselves. The street sweeper growls, morning papers fall into rows of mailboxes, traffic rushes by, and a driver scrapes the frost from their windshield. Inside the cafe, a mustachioed copywriter in his late 20s drinks coffee and eats scrambled eggs on the side. Suddenly, his coffee goes down the wrong pipe, and he runs to the bathroom, coughing. The morning paper remains open on the table. In the announcements section, there is a copy of a letter in Malin Lund's handwriting. "Everything is all right. We're with the man, and we like it here. We love you." Below the copy of the letter are Eniat Khan's phone number and text that reads, "Good person, it is not too late. If you have information about this letter, if you sent this letter, or if you know anything new, anything about the disappearance of the Lund children, please get in touch." "I'd like a carton of Astras, with menthol, too." No, wait. Has there been a delivery of radar?" "No, sorry, sir. Ulf said it's this evacuation stuff. No new goods are coming in at all anymore. I don't know how long I can keep the store open." "Well, in that case, give me 3 cartons of Astras." said the young man with the chestnut-colored curls. "Then that black currant wine from there, how strong is it?" Let's see. The village store manager takes a dusty bottle from the liquor shelf. 23%. Must be pure spirits in there. Very good. Do you have more of that? There are 2 bottles here. I'll take those, and then that vodka over there. End of the line, the liter bottle. Pale-aged, right? Well, where else? If it wasn't aged, I'd consider bringing it there myself. It's already behind the meadow. So then a pack of matches, a pack, not a box, and those candles. Are there any more? Yes, I'd like this wild strawberry liqueur too. Last time I forgot to grab it. Give me the 2 you have over there. This other one is raspberry. We're out of wild strawberry. Well, I'll take it then. Since you're closing, better give me the rest of the alcohol as well, and some smoked sausage too. All the alcohol? Yes, and half a stick of smoked sausage. A scruffy young man rides a bicycle through the village town of Lodu in Lemmintkais, at the edge of the zone of anthropogenic catastrophe. Dusty bottles jingle in his bike trailer, mixed up with cigarette cartons, and half a stick of Dr. smoked sausage wrapped in paper. On the village road, the streetlights shine like diamonds in the morning twilight.